True Dream only visited this military base. We have agents stationed at every base so far, but only at this one did they never come back. Accordingly, they wanted a student to infiltrate it." "And they sent a kid?" Vorden explained. "Seems like a good place to send Erin, then, doesn't it?" "I volunteered!" Layla shouted, yet her eye slightly twitched when she said those words. Because the truth was she didn't volunteer for this mission, but her mother offered her daughter for her benefit. "Look, this isn't about me and Pure. This matter is about Erin. Right now she doesn't have an ability. True Dream has been known for doing this to people, and we've taken them in, though we still looked out for them. We will do the same for Erin." Vorden then dragged Quinn towards the side and whispered in his ear, "You're not considering this, are you? For Erin and Peter to go over to Pure?" After hearing this, Quinn was struggling. He was pretty sure that Layla meant no harm, yet putting his friends in the hand of strangers and sending Peter would be a huge risk. His evil nature, without Quinn by his side, would take over. Moreover, if they ever found out who he was, it would be no better than the school finding it out. Nevertheless, it was different with Erin. Henceforth, Quinn shifted his stare towards Logan, asking, "Logan, don't you have everything recorded? Can't we just use that as blackmail against True Dream? Spread it on the internet or something?" "Impossible," Logan replied without delay. "You remember the reports I brought up earlier? The military has a monopoly on what can be seen and what cannot. It would be taken down in an instant, and no one would want to host such a thing. They would be going up against two powerhouses. No one has the power to go up against them. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't even want to risk the safety of my family by angering them." When Logan enlightened the actuality, Vorden started to think about his own family. If it was them, they could do something about it. The sole problem was that he wasn't on good terms with them at all. No one in his family would listen to him, much more do him a favor. It wasn't the Blades family way. It was why he had never considered it to be an option in the first place. "I think we have no other choice," Quinn said. "The best thing for Erin will be to go over to Pure. The two of them are close, and if Layla wanted to hurt any of us, the last person she would hurt would be Erin." "Wait, only Erin?" Layla inquired. "But what about Peter? He can come too." Quinn shook his head as he looked at Peter. "He can't, and Vorden and Fex probably already know the reason why," Quinn explained. "Peter has changed. Layla, if he isn't next to me, then there's no telling what he would do." Layla then looked at Peter. Although his physical appearance had changed a little, she hadn't been around him lately to notice any further changes. Still, when she looked into his eyes, she noticed that they were lifeless. "Okay, so Erin goes to Pure," Vorden stated. "What about Peter?" Quinn's mind was already muddled as he tried to think of solutions, but at that moment he was out of ideas. The only thing they could do was to hide him for as long as possible, or they could opt to utilize Vorden's favorite suggestion. "Quinn, we could always—" "Don't say it, Vorden." Quinn cut him off shortly before he finished his sentence, knowing very well what Vorden was going to suggest. "I believe I have a solution to your problem with Peter," the system said. Just when Quinn was in the middle of contemplating what to do with Peter, it seemed like the system had an answer. Although, whenever the system seemed to chime in, it was never usually straight-up good news, so he was a little nervous. "What do you mean, you have an idea for Peter?" Quinn asked. "The main issue right now is the fact that your faces cannot appear in the school anymore. At the same time, Peter won't be able to leave the military base due to the fear of him running wild. But we have one solution available for Peter that will solve both of these problems," the system explained. Now, Quinn was waiting for the worrisome part. "He can learn a transformation ability. Ever since you turned him, he lost his original powers, and his body is now different from what it once was, meaning he can now learn another ability." "But I thought you said we had to find a specific ability for vampires that could be learnt, just like I learnt the Shadow Book. At the time, not a single one reacted when I touched it, only the Shadow one did," Quinn asked. "Perhaps I need to remind you once again. What I said was, there are certain abilities that only vampires can learn, and at the same time, there are abilities that only humans can learn. However, some abilities are in the middle, somewhere in between, and one of them is the transformation ability." The transformation ability wasn't a popular ability with the general public. It gave the user nothing extra that could aid them in combat. Therefore, it was looked down upon by a lot of people. Still, it did have its uses. With the transformation ability, one could alter their face and look like another. This meant it was often used for infiltration or spying. The problem was, whenever these people were discovered, they would be killed in an instant because transformation ability does not grant them any offensive capabilities at all, or even defensive. "Why didn't you suggest this before?" Quinn asked. "Before, I felt like it would be more beneficial for you to wait for a more powerful ability to pop up, one that would make you and Peter stronger. But right now, it's more important than anything. It would prevent Peter from being caught," the system explained. Quinn then explained to the others what his plan was with Peter, how he still hadn't learned an ability, so he could still learn the transformation ability. Still, there was one problem with the whole thing, and that relied on Logan. Quinn needed Logan's help. Even if Peter could disguise himself, if he appeared as a new student, the entire school would know. He also couldn't pretend to be someone else, since that would be too obvious. "So what do you think, Logan?" Quinn asked. "Will you be able to hack into the school system and add his ID?" "The problem isn't whether I can do it or not, Quinn," Logan replied. "I can. That's like asking if a bee can make honey. The problem is making it all seem natural. Say there are 500 first-year students. Then one day suddenly there are 501 students. The new kid turns up to class and everyone is just meant to accept it? It won't work." Once again, the group were deep in thought. "I have an idea," Vorden said. "When we went to the planet Kaladi and the Dalki attacked us, didn't they say they couldn't find 3 of the student bodies?" "That's right," Layla replied. "They assumed they had died somewhere deep in the desert and their bodies were eaten." Hearing this started to bring back memories for Quinn. The truth was the Dalki hadn't killed them. It was him that killed them, although no one knew about this fact yet. "Well, once Peter learns the transformation ability, why don't we get him to look like one of those students? We can have him appear back near the portal and say he had gotten lost in the desert and came back now," Vorden asked. "Now that is big brain thinking," Logan said. He then hopped onto his computer and went over to the marketplace in search of a transformation ability book. It had to be one of the high level to be able to get the finer details right in the face structure. It didn't take long for Logan to find one, due to how unpopular the skill was. It seemed to be a level 5 skill, which was perfect. It would be good enough for Peter to look nearly identical to one of the students, and with Peter's mutant cells being slightly different, it wouldn't show his real level on the watch anyway, only displaying the fake number Logan had entered. "Ability book purchased." "Hey, Logan, you didn't have to do that. I could have paid for it," Quinn said, feeling bad at how much money Logan had spent on him now. "Don't worry, Quinn. I'm involved in this too now, and if I didn't want to do it, I would have kicked you all out of this room. Besides, who said I wasn't keeping a tab? I do have to warn you that I do charge quite a lot of interest," Logan said. It was hard for Quinn to tell whether Logan was joking about the whole thing or not. When he said those words, his expression never changed, but Quinn would have liked to think he was cracking a joke. It was nice seeing Logan try to fit in, but this was a different matter. Quinn also didn't want his wallet to take a hit.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.